So that's for creating linear segments. Now I'm going to go through to create circular segments. So to be able to create a circular segment, I've got to bring in something circular. So I'm going to bring in a new part, or a part that I created. Control J, circular. Open it up, and I'm just going to on the Home tab and attach it to my positioner. Do you want to update the position? Yes. And I'm actually going to, yeah, that looks good there. So I'll hide this part, right click and hit V. So right click, visible, or right click V. I'm going to go through and just change some colors here too, is really quick. So this is all one body on this part, so I'm going to go through and right click this, right click, and disconnect the library so I can actually change the colors. Disconnect the library. So right click here, set color, make it green. On this inside, a little green as well. That surface there, and that surface there, and that surface there. We'll make colors orange, and actually we'll change that so it doesn't match the ABB color orange, or not as close at least. We'll choose a blue, and then this we'll make another color just so we can distinguish it from the platter a little bit better. Set color, make this brown. Okay, so these are our colors, and we might change this color just so it's a little more distinguished. Maybe a dark color. Okay, so there we go. So now to make a circle, I'll have the circle done in this path. So as soon as I clicked here, that screen automatically closed. So create weld instruction. This is all set up still, since I haven't closed ArcWelding. I'll go to multiple circular segments. And so here, usually what you're going to do if it's a circle, you start, if you're going to go all the way around the circle, weld all the way around the circle, you want to start closest to the robot to have the torch wound up a little bit and then unwind as you go around. So I'm going to start here, and when creating a circle, you've got 5 points to select from. You've got a start point, a circular point, a base plate point, an end circular point, and end weld. So now, as I click here, there's the start point. That's where you want to start the weld. The circular point is just a reference of direction for where you want this circle to be going. So you select there. The base plate is the base plate you want to select, and depending upon where you select is going to change your torch angle. So select there. End circular point. So this end circular point does not mean the end of the weld, it's just end of the circular point. And so usually I do all of these within these first 4 within the first 90 degrees. You can even do it closer. I messed around with it a lot, see how close I can get them together before it messes up and does something different. So just within the first 90 degrees, these first 4 points, and you're fine. And then the last point, the only thing it cannot be is it cannot be at the exact same point as your first point. That's the only thing. You can have it over, you can have it under, doesn't matter, just cannot be the exact same point. So I usually pick something right on the outside of that circle. And then here, this 90 degrees sets up how many sections you want it to be. So if you can increase the number of sections you have, so it'll be every 60 degrees you'll have your start point, and then every 60 degrees you have 1, 2 points, another 60 degrees, 1, 2 points, and so on and so forth. Or you can have 90 degrees, so you have your start point, and then every 90 degrees you'll have your circular point and an end weld, circular point, and circular point, circular point, and circular point, and till the end of the weld. So 90 is a good default. You can do less, you can do more. As the circles get bigger, or as your parts of your welding get bigger, I usually put more points in there. As they get smaller, I'll put less points in there. But you cannot go 180. It cannot be it has to be less than 180, because otherwise, when actually welding it, you'll probably run into issues. So 175 if you got really small stuff. But 120 is probably pretty good. So then it'll cut it up 120 degrees, and so there, 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 and then end. So it depends upon what you want to do. I'm going to leave the default and go 90. This auto OK button usually doesn't work. It might work, I think when you create work objects, the autocue will work, but it'll actually close the screen, so it defeats the purpose of having this up here. And so I'm just gonna hit, since I've got this all set up, this OK button will only highlight once everything's been selected. And so once it's all selected, I can hit OK, and I've got a path that goes all the way around, and I'll step through this, and I'm just staying the over arrow as I step through this, and you can see what the path looks like. So now to go through this path and step through this path, you can shift and click all these points and hit move through and see what the torch looks like as it goes around there. Move to failed. Now the robot can actually reach there, but what you're seeing this move to failed as, I can, since I've got a quick tab up here, or I can change this to mechanism, right click the mechanism and go mechanism joint jog. You can see that the axis 6 is maxed out, so there's no more axis around axis 6. So when doing circles, that's something you have to pay attention to. And so you can go through and set the configs. So we'll go into configurations now with this circle. Now with a circle, or with any move, configurations can only be set on J moves. They cannot be set on L moves, because if you set them on an L move, as soon as you move from a J move through that L move, it'll automatically be overwritten by whatever the J move's configuration is. So to set the configuration, I'm going to go to this J move. J moves are these little squiggly lines. L moves are straight lines. So I can change these from modify, convert to linear. So there's a linear move. These end ones are linear moves as well. So this J move here, I'm going to go, and this configurations, this button right here, set configuration, and these 3 buttons all pull up the same exact screen. So just pick any one of those, and as soon as you do that, the robot's automatically going to jump to there. Because with this config open, the robot will check the reach and jump to these points. So you can see from here, the robot actually can reach that point, but it said it couldn't. The reason why is because of this axis 6 value up here, or yeah, axis 6. So to set the configuration, I'm going to go to the J move. It's going to jump to it, and I'm going to set this configuration. See this will tell you what the robot approximate axis values are at this point: 0, 10, 42, 0, 38, 176. So I'm just going to make this a negative number. So you pick this down, and then you've got a list of values here you can choose from. I usually try to minimize these numbers and then get the result that I want. There's the other thing is axis 6 most negative. You've got quick buttons to be able to do this. So I hit this, and it automatically see how that jumps to most negative value. You can go most 0, closer to 0. There isn't actually the exact closer to 0, but the closer to 0 within that consideration. So you've got ABB up, ABB down. You can see what this does here. This is flipping axis 4. This flips axis 6. You don't see it except for from this screen over here. There's other things you can do if you have the ability. Some points you've got some weird configurations that you can use and get to get to those points. But I'm going to use ABB up. Generally that's what we like. And then I'm going to make axis 6 a negative ones. You can either use these quick buttons, or you can use the drop down list to see what you want to do, and then hit apply. Our map point right there. And now if I click these are still showing positive, but as I move to these, so I'm going to move to that point, and now it's a negative number. So I'm going to move through this whole thing, shift click through this whole thing, and go move to. And now you'll see that I'll make it around the entire part without messing things up. So now you have to be careful though when you do set this up, and when you program, that when you move through these J moves and you're twisting up this torch axis here. So I'm going to see what this move does here. So that one did okay, it didn't twist it up, but if I made this a positive one, let's just see what that does. As I moved to there, that torch flipped all the way around, and then so it wound itself up, and then if I was going to start going around here, it won't make it because of that, but now it's starting to wind itself up more. So that's one thing you have to watch. So fixing that config to make it a most negative also helped me with that. So I'm going to move that back, make it a negative, and shift and move through those again. So I go from there to there, and it looks good. So that's doing a circular move, and what it does, and so I'm going to do another circular move on the inside here now. I'm going to close this configuration screen and go create weld instruction, multiple circular move. And here I'm also going to start close to the robot, and I want to go the other way around now. So if I just wound up my torch, now I want to unwind it. So I'm going to go here, here, base plate, there, and then somewhere there. So there's my 5 points, and then hit OK. And I'm going to change this from a move L, or move J to a move L. On different versions, there's a quick button down here. It's a quick move from change move, convert to linear, or convert to joint, depending upon what you're currently sitting at. But since I'm using 5.15 in Robot Studio, it doesn't have that quick button. So I'm going to select here and see what this does. So that moves it around, so it kind of unwraps it, then I'm wrapping it up again. So you got to watch that. So maybe that wasn't the best situation, or maybe I've got enough cable management there so that I can get around it. You can go through and change that, you can add more moves in, or you can say, hey, you know what, maybe starting at this location wasn't the best. So I can right click this and say, you know what, that wasn't the best choice. So delete, yes. So I started there, I'm going to try a different one. Go modify or create weld instruction and go here and go this way around. My torch is kind of in the way there, there, there. See how that works. Change this to linear. And see what that looks like. So there we go, that looks better. Yeah, I went through the part, and I can then go through and add another air move up here, or do other things to make that get around there so I don't break my torch as I go around there. So that is creating circular moves.